It's been literally a year and a half since I had any form of discussion or debate with Trumpers, but I posted one of Trump's videos of the snake out of horror, link in the below bar. Someone in my circle, who's a blind believing Trump supporter, posted, "I love it." I told her she was horrible and these were people. She told me she should be able to have her opinions without being judged. I responded with the fact that if she could support a man whose purposeful inaction Puerto Rico killed 6,000 U.S. citizens illegally, and he was pointlessly splitting up parents from kids, causing irreversible mental harm without judgment, then I should be able to kill her dog without judgment. She claimed my argument was fully emotional. I told her that if she gave him the power and didn't speak out about parts of his terrible policies, it was just as bad as you doing it yourself, basic civics. She told me that speaking out on Facebook is pointless, so I should instead get into politics, which I told her I was, and that education is a cornerstone of activism. She told me that she never learned anything from me, except that I didn't respect her right to have an opinion. I told her that I would defend her legal right to have an opinion, but in the marketplace of ideas, I would take her terrible opinion to task. She told me I didn't know what she believed, which is a weak point in how I was discussing this, but I told her I don't need to know because she laughed when her president dehumanized an entire group of people. And if you want to talk about civility, your president has demeaned others, doesn't want me to legally have my own opinion, and has been a bully his entire campaign and life. She ended the conversation. I learned many sad, disturbing, and terrifying things from this encounter. I have learned I have been away for too long and have been too disconnected from their world, so I have no frame of reference as to how to explain this to them in a way they could even begin to be receptive. But I also can't forgive them for what they've done or continue to do. I am emotionally hurt by this. I feel too betrayed, especially from people who taught me better and have decided to go full Trump. I don't know if I have the ability to even begin to bring myself to enter their bubble, and if I do, there will be a massive double standards from their side, and they will do mental gymnastics to keep themselves from ever being wrong. You just have to respect that. And I probably won't even begin to change their mind because killing doubt is something they prize thanks to their religious upbringing. Jonathan Haidt did a TED Talk on the roots of morality in liberals and conservatives. Liberals have two moral guiding principles: do no harm and try to spread good to all. Conservatives believe in these two, but they have three more to guide them, in group cohesion, tradition, and authority. These were all great when we didn't have science and ways to test things, but to us liberals, we can see how many of these have caused massive damage in the world. She views me as being just as bad because I don't value in-group cohesion by not allowing her to believe as she wants about out-group people without repercussions, even if those perceived out-group people were literally dying from her actions. To point that out is just worse. Trump is an authority figure to her, an abusive bullying dad, which is how many of her generation was raised. He can't be wrong, father always knows best. He also says all the buzzwords of tradition, even if he's just conning them with it. A study was run to test micro-expression recognition, was used on younger, older, and middle-aged people. They showed pictures of people with trustworthy, neutral, and dishonest micro-expressions. Younger people got them right away, but the older the people got, the less good they became at distinguishing them, and the very oldest people viewed trustworthy and neutral as neutral, and dishonest as most honest. This explains a lot, how older people fall for scams and grifts so easily, just like how they fell for this president. But it also scares me. Will this happen to me when I get older? Will I blindly trust some dishonest stranger in the future because I think they look super honest? Or was this the impacts of a mix of things, like the first generation raised on TV and were essentially brainwashed to trust the news and lying politicians, and now can't even grasp that Fox News isn't news, it's just opinion, other than 1 hour of it, but they have all the trappings that signifies trustworthy legitimacy. They were also a generation heavily poisoned by lead and mercury and other toxins in the industrial boom prior to the EPA, and IQ levels have been rising by generation, except in Flint and other places where the EPA was lax and weak. Bullying and abuse was so much more rampant back then. Lots of dads came back with PTSD from the war and took it out on their families, and they learned to rationalize it. Trump men bully, and that's how they reinforce authority and in-group cohesion, and try and play the big strong authority figure in hope of shaming you into getting on board, and with their in-group is doing and believing. If not, they can make others see you as an out-group member shamed for their non-in-group beliefs. We liberals aren't ashamed at all by this and can't grasp why they're acting like fucking children and bullies on the playground. They don't have the psychological capabilities to have a rational conversation. Trump women just demand respect for no reason and have no interest in actually thinking they could be wrong. Civility and mutual respect is what matters, and them liberal snowflakes don't respect me and my shitty opinion, so I have to bring out the big guns to make them snowflakes pay with a real authority figure. They demand you respect your opinions. They demand to be treated with dignity and respect. They demand to have opinions without being judged for it. They demand to have vulgar opinions in front of you without any consequences. Any emotion in the argument is to be shut down. Any anger is to be shut down. The right to be respected for an opinion is deeply ingrained into them, even if it's a terrible opinion. They refuse to see how their leader is a bully. You are for even questioning it. They refuse to take any responsibility for their actions or vote. They will demean your efforts to spread information, such as if you're an internet poster. These are all tactics of modern internet trolls. Bullying is a troll tactic. They perfected trolling before the internet was ever invented. They can't even begin to think of themselves as being wrong. That would be impossible. It's you that must be wrong. That would cause cognitive dissonance and something they can't work through because they don't have the mental health means to do so. They get to laugh at someone bullying immigrants and the out-group without repercussions. This is a huge chunk of America. I don't know if I can reach them, even ones I love and have been betrayed by. I don't know if I have the emotional capacity to even try. I haven't talked to much of my older family since the election because of it. I feel like reaching the young people, even young Trump voters, and giving up on the old Trump voters might be the best thing. There's a great article called "I Lost My Dad to Fox News," and this is a common sentiment among my generation. Sadly, they too can all vote, and do. Millennials now outnumber them, but they also don't vote as much. I feel like we have to target them, and this older generation may just be a hopeless case, and work doubly hard on the younger generation so they don't fall for this bullshit ever again, and build up laws and infrastructure so they have the mental, emotional, and psychological tools so another grifter and kleptocrat and hopeful fascist can never take over this nation again, because if not, we are screwed, possibly for generations.